Hello and welcome to Athlantic, the show where an American and a Brit take turns crossing the pond to learn about sports culture in the UK and the USA. I'm Adam Jordan, your resident American.
And I'm Harry Collins, your resident Brit. Episode 22. This, as we've just verified, is a year and a week since the first episode of Athlantic made its way onto YouTube. Episode 22, the patron saint, because it's my turn to pick. It's going to be Kaoru Mitoma. Doesn't need any explaining. He's maybe the best human being and/or football player on the planet. And I won't be fielding questions on that one. Since we last recorded, everything happened. Absolutely everything. A World Cup finished. The England Red Roses won.
Yeah, you're
the Rugby
not
World
wearing
Cup.
a Palace shirt right now, so that is a pretty good indicator. Yeah,
I'm not, which is wicked. Yeah, it's class. Because I couldn't actually bring myself to pay real English money for that. I'd have to steal it. So one World Cup closed, and another World Cup opened. And tomorrow night, the England women's cricket team will be playing Pakistan in the Cricket World Cup, which is class. The summer of women's sport in the UK is turning into the autumn of women's sport. This whole year, just chalk it off. We're not going to do. This is amazing. We've never been so competitive in so many different arenas, men's or women's. I think this is it for English sport.
Yeah,
2025.
Yeah, why not? And you just literally right before we hit record, beat Latvia 5-0. So the men's team did.
Yes,
so
you're
officially in the World Cup. Congratulations. That's not something that has always been guaranteed for us over here. Thankfully, we couldn't mess it up this time. So anyway, which weirdly enough, I just read a story the other day about how Pochettino, our manager, drew some inspiration from Chick-fil-A for his team. So we have fallen to fast food being the culture setter for our men's soccer program. So I don't think that we need to go down the route of talking national soccer teams. So I am all happy to talk about Cricket World Cup. Harry, where is the Cricket World Cup?
It's being hosted
cool.
in
I was
India.
wondering. I was like, it has to be Southern Hemisphere somewhere, because otherwise it would.
Wait, or in that.
Wait a minute.
In
what
the
am I talking
tropical
about?
belt.
India's not in the southern hemisphere. That was.
I was gonna let
you know what? We're gonna leave that in because the world, the world deserves me to. I don't know. People deserve to see me at my during my brain farts. So, I don't know where we're going with that. Yeah. So Cricket World Cup. So, and is it every 4 years, like most cups of the world?
Yes. Yes, I think so. I think India are the heavy favorites. I think we're second at the moment. I looked at it a couple of seconds ago. We're currently second. Australia are top. India have lost two actually. We've all played four, apart from England and Pakistan. As I said, we play Pakistan tomorrow. But yeah, Australia are killing it. Unfortunately, when we talk about cricket and rugby specifically, and you and I actually had a conversation earlier in the week about how rugby is funded, we find in sports that are played across different nations with varying economic resources that especially unfortunately in women's sports, the disparity between who can just invest in their programs becomes so much more evident. So while India, I think, are still, if not the top two or three men's cricket teams in the world, and their women's team almost certainly as technically gifted, England and Australia are absolutely bossing it on the money front. But I'm kind of hoping if England don't win that India might. 100%. If it's not us, definitely not the Australians.
Yeah.
I want it to be.
Yeah,
Please let it be
not.
India.
Definitely can't have that. But yeah, lots of things happening. You said everything was happening, so I think we got a lot to catch up on. What else do we have? We have McLaren back-to-back constructors champions of Formula One. Don't think this one was too much of a surprise at all coming into the season. I think the only surprise is that there hasn't been like that neither driver has like run away with it, and maybe that's not as much of a surprise, but like I don't know, feels like the fact that Max is still kind of creeping out there is like a little scary.
I had this conversation with a cousin of mine that follows motorsport very closely, and he described it like Max's Jason from the Halloween movies, like in like down the street walking really slowly up to the McLarens, because I don't know what papaya rules means anymore, but the insistence that McLaren don't apply team rules to either of their drivers is incredibly admirable, and they've won the Constructors' Championship. Job done. That's class. But it will be humiliating if one of them doesn't win the Drivers' World Championship as well. And I know it's not necessarily the team's remit, but really there's like a real point of pride there.
And to be clear, it is overwhelmingly likely that one of them will win the champion. Like literally, I think they would have to DNF in, like both of them would have to DNF in like all but like a couple of the like one or two of the races for it to happen. Right. Like it is going to be one of the McLaren drivers, but yeah.
But this leaves us with it's not a dichotomy. I mean, it's ultimately this is kind of what we want from Formula One, especially the two fastest drivers in the two fastest cars this season are like being allowed to race each other. Totally. That is class. However, if you're not like a McLaren, Lando or Oscar fan, then the rest of the season's going to be a little bit dull. But I digress. This is still the better outcome. It's just kind of a surprise. It's like when a dog catches a car. We don't really know what to do with a good season now. I think in my heart of hearts, I really want Lando to win. I actually think Oscar is the superior driver. I think also, I don't know this, but I'm confident that they'll both be McLaren drivers next year. I don't see either of them leaving, but for like the good of the sport, I want them to be separated, and then we can have like a proper rivalry where like Zach Brown and Papaya rules don't get in the way.
Yeah, because you don't have this with like great F1 battles of the past, like between teammates. I mean, like usually it's you get that kind of there's some kind of team rules or something that can kind of set it. But this just feels like it's almost too cordial. Like Zach Brown, you've done too good of a job at making few more things to get to. I definitely have one in mind, but you put one on in here that is very Athlantic. We have American football happening in the UK, but not at a level, not at the NFL or even college level.
No, we've had some really, this season of the NFL in London has been really good and is well deserving of its own episode or a
shout out to
like
my Steelers over in Ireland making things happen at Croke Park.
Yes,
so, just quick.
Yes, I think we want to. We always talk about like England and America. We extend a loving arm over to Ireland from time to time, and this is a really good time to say that, because cool. The Steelers, a team that I sort of enjoyed in passing, got really close to the UK, and I was like, and then the tickets were like 600 quid, so never mind. But yeah, the NFL Academy has two bases, one in Australia, I believe, and the other one's in London, and these are players who are high school age, but not attending high school in the US, that are part of like the NFL Academy, which is the NFL's program for expanding horizons to
high school age is putting my English cap on here, like that's not a thing over there. Is that just like upper secondary school? Is that like what's the equivalent?
Hey, you've asked a really good question. I don't know specifically which ages, but I think they are confined to American high school ages. So it'll be like what the 9th to the 13th grade?
9th to 12th we have, yeah.
What do you do in high school?
Yeah.
9 to 12. Okay, so we do 12 and 13 as part of sixth form. And that is included. But the players are eligible for the draft a little bit ahead of that. So the NFL Academy, led by quarterback Victor Lechambre, who many people hope is go to the draft this year, but maybe holds on a little bit longer, played a team called, they lost by 3 points, 38-41, to a team, and I need your help on pronunciation for this, St. Thomas Aquinas?
Close. It's St. Thomas Aquinas, but we're close. Yeah.
Which is a high school, a secondary school, a tertiary school in America.
It is. I mean, it is. So it's not just like, to give some context here, it's not like just a random school. Like, it's not like the high school up the street that just like said, "Hey kids, we're gonna go to London."
You want to go to London?
Yeah. It is, St. Thomas Aquinas is one of like several high schools around the country that are really mostly known for their athletics and kind of being feeders for colleges. And like, we can talk about the youth sports system, and I think an episode on youth sports would be really good for us. And I think an episode on youth sports would be like a really good thing, but I would like to decouple the craziness of what that means with so this school is like known for producing college players that go on to be NFL players. And we know the trend of the NFL going to the UK, going abroad, going to Europe, going to Brazil, going to UK, going to Ireland. And we've seen we've seen college football do the same. I think they just announced there's going to be a London game in the Big 12. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Actually, UNC is playing over in Dublin next year. So like, this is a thing, but with high school age kids, it's a little strange.
It's really odd. I mean, it's equal parts dead cool and just like a safeguarding nightmare. And like, it's one thing to go to college to play sport and your education is perhaps secondary, which I think is a bit of a touchy point when talking about some Carolina programs. Specifically, I remember when I was there, a lot of Carolina basketball players were taking like Swahili.
That was for more context. That was not to like jump to the defense of Carolina no matter what. But yeah, this wasn't that recent. It was like in the early 2010s, late 2000s that there was this huge scandal. I mean, like, if you just look up UNC scandal, you'll read all about it. It's a massive dark chapter on UNC, but yes,
that's like one thing when it's like college age people, but when like your high school's known for your athletic program, that just doesn't quite. And that's just one of these big cultural things that we won't be able to like marry between the US and the UK, because like my high school sports program was maybe going to the local rugby club to use their pitch to play insert local team here and get battered on a rainy November evening. And that was it. Or like, we would get like a minibus and just like shimmy around other places. Nobody ever watched. Parents never came. Equipment was appalling. We're playing in like farm fields. I'm painting quite a somber picture of my childhood. It was far better than that. But yeah, like, it's so completely different.
I mean, it does. I will say though, it doesn't sound unlike the experience for a lot, if not most, kids in the US and in their sports at that age. Like, it's especially thinking about like growing up in North Carolina, like there's plenty of schools, like especially the ones that are more rural that are very similar, like what you're saying. But it is, I recognize that it is strange. Although I do think that we may have an episode eventually on an exception, but it is pretty strange. I feel like to like have that at that rough age in the UK, no matter where you are.
Sure.
So.
And this is just because college is so baked into the recruitment of athletes for the major leagues, I guess high school has to be sort of baked into that pipeline. Yeah. It's just like that's a natural extension of that. It just seems a little bit odd.
I mean, is there any of that like at all in, you know what? No, I need to rein this in because this will become the youth sports episode, and
this
like
is the whole episode.
I really want we really should do this. I want to save our respective questions for that future episode. Which we will do.
You're so
but
right.
It sounds like that is a very interesting topic. That now I'm like, what if we just did an improv episode on the fly? Let's not actually do that. Okay, there's a couple other things that have happened since I've been going around traveling quite a bit over these past couple of weeks, seeing some different ballparks, getting the chance to watch a lot of baseball, which is really cool because we are in the best time of year, as my sweatshirt represents here, the baseball postseason. So we are well into the playoffs as we record right now. We're dead in the middle of the championship series, two championship series, the American League Championship Series and National League Championship Series. The winners of those respective series will play in the World Series, and series does not sound like a real word anymore. So now I'll just be using their abbreviations. I was at the various ALDS and NLDSs, which the D in there stands for division. I won't say that final word. It's just really, really exciting. I contend that there is nothing quite like October baseball. It is, everybody's locked in. We've got markets this year with fans that have not experienced a World Series ever or haven't in a very long time. So it's really, really exciting.
It's so exciting. I'm watching as much as I can from this side. The team that I'm rooting for are so firmly far away from even New York that I can only watch highlights in the morning. Yeah. And the games have been so good that like the highlights videos I'm watching on YouTube are like half an hour long. And you're like, oh, this is good. Also, and sidebar, everyone should do this on YouTube. Don't put the final score in any highlights package. Make sure you've got the date in so you can make sure you're watching the sport. But baseball's really good at not showing. Yeah. Oh God, this is so specific. In the MLB YouTube channel, they don't show who wins, so you can actually watch this half an hour thing and still enjoy it. Whereas like the Premier League have got the score on like the front, and you're like, oh, so Brentford's going to beat United again.
I love that. Hey, MLB, well done. This is like the inverse of the BBC Sounds issue from before. Well done, MLB. You're doing something right for your foreign viewers, and I appreciate that. I will say, when I used to, my previous job, I did a very similar thing where I was helping to run a YouTube channel that was putting out very similar videos for like a league, and we also did not put the final score in there, and I didn't even realize I was doing that for you. Yeah, because I'm smart and cool, and it's just me, exactly. Nobody else, not my team.
It's
nothing.
Intuitive. No, you care about people's nature of suspense.
I was actually doing that entire job thinking about all of the English kids that were
amazing
watching. So anyway, somehow we got into that. And then we do have to talk about one other thing. And Harry, I'll let you introduce it because you've retained. Actually, no, you've done more than retained. You've won the honor to do so.
Yes. Albeit 4 weeks ago, Europe won the Ryder Cup in what was the most exciting Ryder Cup I can remember for I mean, I've watched the last three intently. This one was brilliant. The way that, firstly, it seemed all done on Friday, and admittedly, like America couldn't completely turn it around, but the lead that we had in the first couple of days was amazing. The sense of team spirit around the European team was fantastic. It was the classic. The team are greater than the sum of their parts. You had all of the superstars, admittedly not. You didn't have a Rory, but you had the top ranked in the world again. So many just elite golf robots on the American team, and just like a bunch of fellas, a bunch of guys, some silly European boys just toddling over, and we spanked you for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then we wet the bed on the Sunday.
Tried to lose it.
Yeah.
What a tale of two halves, I guess. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, there was a lot of golf in that last day. I'm sure it was a half.
Yeah.
My family and I were we were finishing this walk that we've been on for a couple of years, and my dad and I would regularly open and check on the Sunday and make sure it was still going our way.
To be clear, like you've done other things in between these stretches of this walk. Like you haven't been just on this walk.
Yeah, we haven't been walking solidly. My family are the Fellowship of the Ring, and we've been walking to Mordor. No, so my dad and I kept like just shouting the scores, and we just went quiet at about lunchtime on Sunday. We were like, oh my god, it's all going awfully. And then yeah, we kept it on. Unfortunately, that's not what anyone's going to remember that Ryder Cup for. Because between the two different halves of dominant play, and the sort of buddy, camaraderie of the European team, and then the sort of, I think the arrogance of the American team, not enough practice was put in perhaps on the course. Nobody will remember any of that because of the way the fans acted in Long Island.
Yeah.
Fan culture is something that we talk all the time on here about, and this was a really interesting way of seeing like it sort of collide. So as our resident American, our current New York representative, how does it feel from your side? Also, did it get like the same sort of bad press that it got in Europe?
So
in the States?
It definitely got bad press, but like, I don't know. With anything here, it depends on what you're reading. I think like overall most of the coverage was pretty accurately negative about it. Sure. To be completely fair, I was not there at Bethpage. I don't even personally know anybody that was there. All of my knowledge of what happened was from watching on TV and watching my social media, which is all algorithmically driven. So when I see one post that makes me angry, it's going to feed me 10 more that make me some levels of angry too. So like I fully acknowledging that. The reaction I had to what I saw was that genuinely thought it was disgusting. Far worse than anything that I've ever seen at that level of sports. Like when you go to enough, like games in hostile environments at college sports or even in pro sports, like you'll hear some like crazy things, but just the amount and the volume and the seeming consistency, and I'm not saying that everybody there is guilty of it, but like
no,
I think abuse was the word that kept coming up, and feels pretty accurate, I would say. Like it just the personal just like vitriol at other golfers, like who, like none of these people who had like really done that much to like rile anybody up or what, it was just all so negative and so mean spirited, and just like I wish it were kinder and like calmer. Like I get I also get that like the Ryder Cup is different than other sporting events, especially golf events. Like it's rowdier. It's always going to be.
Yeah.
And in some ways that's part of the beauty of it. Like it should be exciting. And the fans should be like openly cheer. Like it's not the Masters. Like you don't have the little thing in your little thing that says, "Hey, Bobby Jones's rules say you don't cheer when other people miss." Like that's not what this is. And I acknowledge that. But like you don't need to have like F you Rory chants, you know, not to be like, not to be a Karen about it, but like there's kids, like I'd like the Ryder Cup to be a place that like kids could go and watch. And like I could rant on and on about this, but there's I will say I was embarrassed. I was beyond frustrated, and it genuinely made me sad about like the state, because I know that aspect of fan culture seeps into not only a lot of other places in American sports fandom, but in our culture as a whole, and it's a reflection of a lot, and we could get into it for a while, but so that was frustrating. And then the one other thing before I get off my soapbox, and thank you for granting me this time, is that it wasn't even helpful to Team USA. In fact, it was probably detrimental, because when you just stir up everything as negative, like how is that rallying your team at all? Like I get that when you're a fan cheering or doing whatever the hell they were doing, that you're not thinking about like the macro and what, like, you know, how your behavior is perceived as part of a larger crowd, or how like a player is necessarily receiving that, or like a team is receiving that. But like when you just make everything so negative and in a place where like, even if some of the players were not doing what they should have to like quiet it down, like if you even put them in that mindset for a minute, you're taking them away from the golf. It's just for a million reasons, it was despicable.
Yeah.
And we lost, so.
Yeah, here's the thing. So I only have two small things to add to your, I think.
I'm sorry. I'm going to grab the mic right back for 10 more seconds. Our chants, even aside from being obscene, were lame. They were stupid. They were like
wicked.
One of the things about our sports culture that drives me nuts is how lame and stupid our chants are. Whereas like you guys had cool songs, and like, you guys just have such like more, you hate this word, aura than us, and it's so annoying. Okay. I'm good. So
now I only have one thing to say, because that's exactly what I was going to say. You're right. It didn't help Team USA at all, because number one, it clearly fired up the Europeans. You are the away team. You're already assuming some level of hostility. When it's that sort of hostility, I think it could be really galvanizing. But also, it sucked. It was super lame. It was not tongue-in-cheek. It was not deft or crafted or humorous. It was either literal abuse, normally about the golfers, occasionally about their wives, which was absolutely disgusting. But then, the chants and the songs that somehow made it to social media and blew up were awful. And this is something that, and I talk about specifically British, specifically cricket, rugby, and football fans in Britain being really good at this, and there will be other nations that are funnier and maintain that level of sort of respect while still being, jovial and passionate. But I think in the UK we're very good at it, and it was so clear that American fans were A, doing something they were not used to, or B, doing something that they were unfortunately very used to, and like that confluence just turned into like this disgusting and toxic atmosphere, which worked against the Americans until the last day, when everyone got shut up or got ejected. The other thing the second, the thing that I do want to draw attention to is there is a very specific climate that I think many of these fans feel slightly more emboldened to be this abusive. I don't think that environment's going to go away in a year when America hosts everyone else. And here's the thing, like, golf is golf, and the Ryder Cup is the rowdiest part of golf, but it's still, the sport where everyone claps politely, and there was roars and passion at the Ryder Cup, but it's still a sport of decorum. When we get to, and here's the other thing, America was like the heavy favourites. The US are not going to be the heavy favourites at the World Cup. And these stadiums are going to be full of foreign fans who are probably a little bit more akin to like that specifically football fan culture. And if that's going to be an issue for this specific type of American fans, don't come.
Yeah.
Don't go. Sell your $300 ticket or whatever Genie Infantino has listed the group match games at, which is the pricing for the World Cup is its own episode that we're never going to do because how depressing. But yeah, you just check yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe because soccer isn't like a massive sport in America, it'll be different. And golf is such a massive sport, especially the Ryder Cup. But yeah, those golf fans embarrass themselves, and if they do it in the World Cup, it'll be just so much worse.
I if I have not made this clear, I could not be more embarrassed than what I was. Like I had to turn off. I had to turn off the ride, and not even to like clutch my pearls and be like, "Ugh, I'm better than this," or like, "We're better than this." It's just like it just makes the whole thing. It just waters the whole thing down and makes it stupid. Sure. It just like I have no desire to watch that. I just don't. It's just like it waters down the enjoyment of the sport itself, and like. That's not why we watch sports. That's not why I don't think most people watch sports. And like I don't know. And not to absolve every single. This isn't to demonize every single American crowd or to absolve every single European crowd of abuse, but like it just. I think we could talk in circles on this for a while, but it was really frustrating. So not to end on too sour of a note, but Harry, do you want to bring us into the kind of abbreviated main section of this episode?
And it could not be further from
do 180.
The Rowdy Ryder Cup. It's a whole 180. I've got 3 quickfire questions to ask you, Adam. Just before we go, just to set this up. Number 1, have you ever stayed up past midnight to watch a sports event finish?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. Do you know, and I know you know, every year, what is the most watched TV show, single TV event every year in America?
The Super Bowl.
Superb. You're 2 for 2, Adam. You're killing it. And number 3, who is your favorite wildlife documentarian?
David Attenborough?
There's one. Thank you. Very good. You've passed with flying colours. Okay, Adam, I want you to come on a trip with me back to 1985. It is midnight on the 28th of April, and Dennis Taylor has just sunk the pink. He is 3 points behind, and there are 7 up for grabs. Both Taylor and his opponent, Steve Davis, have won 17 frames. And they are playing for the 35th and last. They are also playing for £60,000.
Whoa. In 1985, not that 60, I'm not staring, I'm not turning my nose up at £60,000, but
not bad.
In 85.
Not bad. Dennis Taylor hasn't won the Snooker World Championship before. These 2 men have been playing for almost 15 hours over 2 days, and it's come down to the last ball. For some reason, our hero, Dennis Taylor, is wearing his glasses upside down.
What?
He's dressed like a penguin. It's all completely ridiculous. And yet 18 million Brits are watching on BBC Two. This game of snooker is the peak of professional snooker. And tonight, we're going to go through, we're going to talk about snooker. Welcome to the seriously silly world of snooker. I can't actually.
I was going to say, if you do the whole rest of the episode like that, I'm impressed.
We'll get back to the glasses.
When we first thought about this show more than a year ago at this point, Harry's just put his glasses back on upside down if you're not watching and just listening. When we first were looking, like we each wrote down topics that we would be interested in learning about from the other side of the Atlantic in the sporting world. Yeah. And one of them that I wrote down was a question and was, what in the cinnamon toast is snooker?
Yeah.
And I
hope you're
that
ready.
Is we're gonna answer that question today. And snooker is a very silly sounding game.
It's an incredibly silly sport.
It's a very silly sounding sport, and I can't wait to hear more about it, because that, my friend, was a terrific introduction.
Good. I'm really excited. What is this?
Okay, if you're watching, if you're not watching and just listening, Harry has just pulled away pictures from behind him and unveiled a mini snooker table. I presume, anyway.
Yes, this is a miniature snooker table.
Also, Harry's moving.
Yes,
just sorry, one other little
for the audio.
No. I mean, like, you're literally moving. Like, let's let the
moving house. Yes, I am.
Let's not to let this cross over into that, but.
It's more
So
sparse.
Harry's like half of his apartment is packed up right now, and he's left the snooker table for this.
Yeah. I texted my family. I've had this well over a decade. And I texted my family, "Hey, I'm thinking of selling the pool table, the snooker table." And they were like, "Yeah, finally." And I didn't. And now my good friend, producer Luke, who did all of our logos, is going to help me move this up 4 flights of stairs in a couple of days. But now let's move on. If you could focus, please, Adam, on the snooker. Now, do you know anything about how to play snooker?
I haven't the slightest clue.
Good. Okay, so look through these. Right, so snooker is a cue sport like pool or billiards, but it's played on a far larger table and far larger than this. This is 5 feet long. A snooker table is 12 foot by 6 foot. So that's basically, I'm what, 6'5", 6'6" on a good day?
You're at least 6'7", 6'8".
I thought so. It's at least 2 of me tall. I'm significantly under 6 foot, everyone, and it's 1 of me wide. Upon the table are 22 coloured balls. There are 15 reds, which you can see behind me. Wow. Then you also have a yellow, a green, a brown, a blue, a pink, and a black. And they are all worth different points.
Oh, that's so many. They're not like stripes and solids. They're just all solid.
No.
Solid balls.
They are all solid colours. Like these. These are, again, miniature ones to fit my miniature.
I have a pink ball. It's not a snooker ball. It's a bouncy ball.
Oh,
I lied this whole time. I know everything about snooker, Harry, and I'm going to hustle you out of your money. Anyway.
If you sink the yellow, you get 2 points. If you sink the green, you get 3, brown, 4, blue, 5, pink, 6, and black 7. If you sink a red ball when you are supposed to, you get 1 point. To sink a coloured ball, you must sink a red ball before it. There are fouls, but we don't have time for that. Basically, with your white cue ball, which you will recognise from billiards and pool, this one is a billiards one. You can see there is the the mark for a billiards ball. You strike the balls, you put them in the pockets, and you do so in the ascending order for the points that I just read out. So far, so good, right?
Yeah, so the red ones are not colored
questions?
balls. They're, even though they have color, like the other ones are the one, like the reds are just
Yes.
kind of like your base game
Yes.
pieces, basically. So
In each frame,
can you play
each
this?
round-
Quick question: can you play this like I've been to pubs in the UK. I've not seen one seen a snooker table, or I haven't been paying attention. Is this something that's like prevalent in a lot of places?
No, not really. In pubs and social clubs, and this is an important point that we're going to get to in a moment, you will mostly find pool tables. You can play pool on this as well. America, I think pool is very prevalent, both 8 and 9 ball pool.
Yep.
And it's basically hit your spots or your stripes until all of yours have gone, and then go for the black. Pool, and this is I need you to come with me here. Pool, as far as cue sports go, pool is basically basketball. Fast, intense, can be over really quickly. You rack up basically a score really fast. It's all offense. It's all go, go, go. It's all, quite, single focus. Yeah. Snooker is far more like baseball. It's more methodical. It's far more, I'm not going to say respectful. It's far more subdued. Okay. It's far more tactical. You're not always on offense. Sometimes you play a defensive shot so that your opponent needs to sort of pull out a moment of magic.
Cool.
Obviously, the objective of snooker is to score the most points in any round, and as I just said, each round is called a frame. Cool. Most tournaments play best of 7, 9, or 11 frames, but the World Snooker Championships, which our hero Dennis Taylor is playing, goes up to the best of 35. Whoa. So basically, first to 18. Yes. The other exciting thing,
a million people watching for each frame that you needed to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Crazy. 18 million people watching this. Wild.
18 million people were watching past midnight. That, the 1985 World Snooker Championship final on the BBC Two, is the most watched TV program on BBC Two ever.
What?
One third of every person in Britain was watching it.
My God,
that's cool,
insane.
Isn't it? Like, that's Super Bowl numbers. Past midnight, just in a nice April. It's spring. So yeah, unlike pool, it's not about clearing the table. It's being methodical. It's being strategic. So, the history. Unfortunately, like most truly great English things, snooker originated in India. A gentleman...
You're saying colonization might have a role?
Well, here's the thing. We didn't... I've got to be careful with my words here. We didn't steal it, which is, massive for us. Otherwise, this table would be in the British Museum. Instead, an army... I'm going to say an army general called Neville Chamberlain, not the eventual Prime Minister, codified the rules in 1882 in Uttarakhand in a province of India. The name snooker comes from the kind of derogatory term for a private or a low-ranking kind of, perhaps one of the more inexperienced or less intellectual members of the army, for whom Neville Chamberlain, again not the Prime Minister, would kind of bully and would call the game snooker because he would beat all of the snookers.
That's the worst thing that the British Army was doing in India in the 1800s.
It's the only bad thing I think England's ever done in India.
Yeah, wow.
Don't Google that. So the game returned to Britain and became a staple in gentlemen's clubs. The gentlemen's club is not the pub. It's not the social club. It is the club for the elite.
See, we have
why,
Harry, we're about to learn something today.
Unfortunately, Adam, what you're thinking, what I'm thinking, come from exactly the same place.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But the gentlemen's clubs typically had very strict dress codes. You had to wear a very strict attire, which is why Taylor and Davis are wearing waistcoats.
Oh, wow.
Which is why I said they're dressed like penguins. You wear a waistcoat. You're allowed to take off your jacket in the gentlemen's clubs, but you had to keep wearing a tie. Now, if you are like me, 6'7", and you are leaning over this table, you can't wear a regular tie because it'll drape on the green, whatever this is called, the surface. So you had to wear a dicky bow. You had to wear a bow tie, and that's still the attire that most snooker players choose to wear. Until very recently, it was an enforced rule, but more and more competitions have changed. You don't have to wear a waistcoat and a bow tie. Now you can wear like branded like outfits. But many still choose to wear the waistcoat.
Wow. So we're transitioning more into looking like just your standard white guy at a wedding once the reception, once we're like an hour and a half into the reception. Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's pretty great. Yeah, everyone's lost their jackets. Also, there is a referee. The referee comes around, and if you pot the black, for instance, for 7 points before like the end of the game, the black gets returned to the table. Look at this. And the referee, wearing like a 3-piece suit and white gloves, will take the black and put it back where it belongs.
I respect that.
It doesn't belong there. I just can't reach.
I respect
because
that.
my 7-foot wingspan doesn't quite.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm surprised you're like able to fit. This is actually why you're moving out of your apartment, out of your flat, is because you don't fit. Yeah. I think more referees should dress that. I think more people in sports should dress that way. We've gone too far into my biggest old man take. We've gone too far into the like basketball coaches are wearing like quarter zips now on the sideline. No.
Yeah.
We need to go back. The umpires in baseball, the home plate umpires, will still wear basically sports coats, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. You can
wear a 3-piece suit. Why not?
I also love in baseball that the managers also wear like the kit, like they're playing, but they're clearly decades older than the. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, let's talk about the globalization and the competition structure. It's dead easy. The World Championships is held at a theatre in Sheffield called the Crucible. It's been held there since 1977, so our game between Taylor and Davis was played there. Sheffield is a rather lovely, small manufacturing city that's losing its manufacturing. It's got 2 decent football teams, but it is the epicenter of snooker again in April.
That's an intense name.
And it's a good name, isn't it? The Crucible. It's really cool. Bearing in mind, it's a theatre that when it's not showing the snooker, is showing like amateur dramatics. Players earn ranking points playing different tournaments, and then they're invited to compete at the larger events, most of which are either access through qualification, or there's some invitational events which kind of, rubber band the sport and keeps just the top of the top. But, that's not snooker's biggest problem at the moment. The best players today, I think, other than Davis and Taylor, our 2 heroes of our story, Ronnie O'Sullivan has got a very decent claim to be one of the most dominant athletes in his sport. He is not the most winningest snooker player, but his win percentage is phenomenal. He kind of hates snooker and said in an interview that he found it boring and it sucked.
Good.
I don't know if he said it, but he said it. He found it boring, but he seems to reluctantly play and win what the £60,000 winning the grand prize has sort of swollen to 500,000.
Whoa.
So, I wouldn't call the sport boring if I were you. Mark Shelby is another massive player. I believe he's Welsh. And then we have Trump. Fortunately, not the Donald. Judd Trump, who had a blossoming career in snooker just before 2016, and now nobody seems to like him.
Man.
There is a global audience for this sport. However, it's mostly in China. And I'm not entirely sure what else unites
Very interesting.
Sheffield and Beijing, but they're both absolutely obsessed with snooker.
Wow.
And then finally, the confluence of the men's sport and the women's sport should be discussed because this is clearly not a contact sport. This is a sport played steeped in tradition with very clear rules and traditions.
Men dress like penguins coming out of places called gentlemen's clubs that have its roots in the British Army. Yeah, I'm not expecting this to be like a very, very forward-thinking organization in terms of how it treats women's sports.
Truly, it's another instance of probably a sport that hit its peak in April in 1985, as we were discussing, and it's sort of been petering out a little bit. The status of the women's game, it's not terrible, but here's the thing: this is a sport that should be integrated.
Yeah.
Women's snooker has existed as long as the men's game, and the first women's championship was held in 1934. Long before this was like a televised men's sports staple. But for most of its history, as in so many cases with other sports, it has been underfunded and undercovered. However, more recently, the two highest ranked women's players are given tour cards. So 2 women join the men's tour, which means the women of the Women's World Snooker Championship and the highest ranked women's player who isn't already on the tour are invited to play with the men's.
Just 2.
Just 2. That's the thing,
weird.
right? The dam has been broken. That too, I think, should go up quite quickly.
Yeah.
That only happened, I think, in the last 15 years. But yeah, just 2, really.
Is this a sport? Sorry. Breathed in, was ready to go. Is this a sport that is like anywhere near as popular as it used to be? Is this something that you can play? I know it's not in pubs, but is this a thing that people are playing very often? Is this a thing that people are still watching? Well, of course. Other than
if you want to come over, Adam. Great question. The final that we're discussing is called the... Oh my God, hold on. Come on, you've got this. Right. Okay, that's a great question because the final that we're talking about is called the Black Ball Final. After our hero Taylor sank the pink and left only the black on the table, this is his ticket to win the World Championship. Both players missed the black 3 times. So the black just stays up. Both are taking chances. Davis, who is a very, very strong player, not the underdog, and here we're clearly rooting for Dennis Taylor, the underdog, who wears his glasses in a funny way. Davis misses routine shots, and Taylor sort of snatches at shots that he should probably either think through and play something slightly different, or he, or these are routine shots that he should have made. But this is it. These 18 million people will never come back and watch snooker in the same numbers again. The popularity of this sport has waned since 85, and in 2010, a Guardian article said and predicted that snooker would be an amateur-only sport by 2020, which obviously hasn't happened. This is really surprising to me. In 2003, a MORI poll found that snooker was Britain's 6th most popular sport, with 17% of people polled saying that they were TV viewers, 5% saying that they were players, but 24% saying that they were interested in the sport. That 24% would actually put it third if that was the only metric that they were ranking it by. So in the early 2000s, it was still huge, but we can see it moving out with, certain generations that are no longer compelled by sport are starting to let it go. However, in 2023, a YouGov poll didn't recognize it in England's or Britain's top 10 most popular sports. So it definitely fell, and it's fallen a lot. And your question's a good one. You can't just go and play this in a pub. You have to be part of a club, or you have your own table, or there's a specific sports hall that has it. It's not as readily accessible as like the darts or pool, which are similar games. I mean, you don't really see billiards being played socially that much. It's mostly sort of pool. And you can kind of see why. Pool's kind of easier to keep going, and it's far, far simpler to understand, and it doesn't need any like complicated maths to play. So I asked you, have you ever stayed up past midnight? I asked you, have you what's the most watched TV show of the year? The last thing I asked you was about David Attenborough.
Yeah, what?
I don't know if you know this, but David Attenborough was the controller of the BBC Two. He was responsible for programming and like picking a direction. In 1967, here's another just a really quick quiz, just a little pop quiz. What do you think the BBC did for the first time in 1967? And it's about something that they could present for the first time in the
Color
late
television?
60s. Bingo.
Yes.
Spot on. Because Adam, you've got that mind that you share with, I think he's 99 years old now, Sir David Attenborough. Because David Attenborough was like, hey, we've got color TV for the first time. What sport would best show off color TV?
Let's go.
So he commissioned a show called Pot Black that was on for decades. I used to watch a version of the show with my grandfather. He was a snooker obsessive. But David Attenborough was like, oh, we've got a sport where the table's green and the balls are different colors and they're dressed in white and black. This is the way that we show off, this new technology. And David Attenborough, I think, is overwhelmingly responsible for the popularization of this sport, which naturally peaked in 85 and has sort of dwindled when the generation that found this, the color bit, and it's not as derivative. I'm making a derivative argument here, but there's no coincidence that David Attenborough put it on TV in the late 60s. People were captivated by this showcase of both sport and, oh my God, color TV. And then that generation moved past it. And now, weirdly, China are all over this sport. I think the current holder of the World Snooker Championship is Chinese.
Cool.
I read in an article today there are more snooker halls in Beijing than the whole of England.
Cool.
So yeah, maybe they just got color TV in China. That's exciting.
Yeah, maybe like every yes, China notably way behind on technology.
Yeah, electronics.
Yeah,
Yes, good for them.
Wow.
So that's
all
snooker.
right. So that's snooker. I gotta be honest. I think your storytelling did a lot for it there. I'm interested to actually see it played now, and I feel like I would like to try it myself, although it sounds like that is difficult.
Sure.
Thank you, producer Luke, for helping to move that table into your next flat. I hate the name. The name's got to go. It's got to be something else. I appreciate that it's trying to be like I don't know. It's a derogatory term apparently. B, it's
sure.
It's just it feels like it's trying to be cute, but like it's trying a little too hard. I don't know. We can workshop a name for it. Maybe that's what it needs. The arrogant American, I'm gonna rename your sport.
I think snooker, when said correctly, forces the speaker to radiate the sort of arrogance and disdain for the person hearing the word snooker for the first time.
Absolutely.
If it repulses you, I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
I think we've done our job here. If you hate the word snooker, because I love the word snooker.
All right. Well, fair enough.
And honestly, anyone that's I'm the first person ever to touch a snooker table with a baseball bat and wear my hat backwards.
Congratulations.
So I'll be shot by some member of the constabulary.
Truly the Ken Griffey Jr. of snooker. All right. Well, I hear the 2-minute warning, so I think it is time for our final question. And that question is, Harry,
yes,
completely changing gears. Maybe it's a snooker moment. I don't know. But what is the first sports moment that you remember breaking your heart?
The 2006 World Cup. I was 9, and I sort of understood the heartbreak from other people more than I felt myself. In a pub watching England lose to Portugal on penalties in the quarter-final. England are so historically bad at penalties. The game has been awful. Rooney's been sent off. Ronaldo had his testicles stood on, which was glorious. The game I remember really, really clearly, and extra time I remember being rubbish. And I didn't know what the penalties were coming. I being a Brighton fan, we don't get to watch games that go to penalties often, so I didn't really know what was happening. And now we're taking penalties, and for some reason, our third or fourth, our last penalty taker was Jamie Carragher, who is a admirable centre-back for Liverpool, who famously never ever scored. So what he was doing anywhere near the penalty spot when we had English heroes on the pitch is beyond me, but we crashed and burned in penalties. And I remember my dad, my neighbours, my family all being really, that was the shared deflation that I had to get used to as an England fan for anything other than women's sport, which is why we love women's rugby.
Yeah, and
because we're really good at it. And women's football. Oh god, yeah. Oh my god, that was the summer. Yeah. Okay, so that's my heartbreak.
We love women.
What about you, Adam?
So for me, cut to actually the same year. I was only 8 years old. The same year, cut to a baseball obsessed 8-year-old Adam who just for the first time had a team that he could go watch in person regularly. Yeah. And that was the North Carolina Tar Heels baseball team. Carolina baseball. My dad and I used to go to every game that we could, and I was 8 years old, and we made it to something called the College World Series in June, and we got.
If we're talking about bad names for snooker, the College World Series has got to be an offender. Please continue. I'm so sorry. I couldn't hold that in.
So in 2006, Carolina makes it to the final of the College World Series and loses to Oregon State. So seeing my team come that far, Carolina had never won, and never won a College World Series, and that's the first time I remember being like, "Oh man, this sports can be bad." The only I kind of only came into first understanding sports through when I was really little. I kind of knew that the 2004 Red Sox thing was happening, and I thought that was cool. The next year the Steelers won the Super Bowl, and I didn't really I wasn't really paying I was I wasn't even. I was 6. I hadn't turned 7 yet. So it wasn't a thing for me. But yeah, when I turned 8, that became a thing. And then the next year, Carolina goes back to the College World Series. And me being like, all right, we're going to get them back. It's going to be great. We get back to the final. We get back to play Oregon State. And then we lose again.
No.
And we have still never won a College World Series. And to this day, I still have some disdain for the Oregon State Beavers. So
that's just quickly, what is the most recent time you've had your heart broken by sport?
Probably 2022 in the UNC men's basketball national championship game, and we lost after being up like 15.
Big shouts for. We should. I think we should support UNC.
Yeah, we should.
I think we should get some like UNC merch.
We should think about that sometime.
Okay, and that is going to be the final whistle today. If you are watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening to us on Spotify, please follow us. We are also on TikTok and now Instagram. Thank you, Adam. So we'll do more stationary stuff and stories on Instagram as well.
Thank you, Adam, and thank producer Elizabeth for
massive thanks to producer Elizabeth. We have so many producers. But that's all from your resident Brit.
That is all from your resident American. Till next time.